When you create a character, you have to keep part of it hidden from yourself, because if you start to label and define and give adjectives to often quite hidden impulses, then it can become a bit leaden and concrete.
Cate Blanchett, good evening. Thank you very much for being with us and to be on our show, IWC Talks To. You've attended many festivals, obviously, around the world. And what do you think makes the London Film Festival different from the other ones?
Well, in the time that I've been making films, a lot of festivals that have been ones that have really celebrated the work of filmmakers, they've been sort of, in a way, superseded or purloined by the marketplace aspect of the festival, which is the great adjunct to a film festival. But it's great to come to a film festival where you feel that the work is front and centre, that it's really for the audience.
And last year, you were awarded the fellowship of the British Film Institute.
Yes.
What does it mean for you to be fellow of the British Film Institute, which is trying to save and safeguard British film history?
Well, the wonderful thing about the BFI is it's obviously got such a strong remit, a very passionate remit to preserve and foster, British film history, but it's also very committed to where film is going in the future, the various different platforms and emerging filmmakers, mid-career filmmakers. But to be awarded the BFI was, it's their highest honour. If you think about this really diverse, eclectic bunch of people, you've got Al Pacino, and then you've got John Hurt, and then you've got me and Helena Bonham Carter. It's to be counted amongst their number. It was a big moment for me. Tonight we're going to give, for the first time, a bursary award to a young filmmaker. And talking about your debut, your starting your career, who was there to help you to fulfill your dream? Well, my dream was actually very practical. It was just to work. And it didn't matter to me whether that was in film, television, or theatre. And I think that the wonderful thing about the IWC Filmmaker Bursary Award is that it gives them time. And that's the thing that is missing, actually, for filmmakers, whether they're young, mid-career, whatever, is that if you've made your first feature, you have to rush into development for your second one. Otherwise, you've missed your window of opportunity. That's the sort of current school of thought, I think, and often great ideas do take time. And so the bursary can allow people to actually take that time to really consider, how they might best develop their next ideas. Because, that's the thing as an artist, whether you're, working with, on canvas or whether you're working with celluloid, you can't always rush to a conclusion. There's no formula about making a work. And I think particularly when you've made something that people have enjoyed, you're at risk of actually throwing the baby out with the bathwater and just keeping doing more. But if you want to deepen your connection to your work, you do need to take time. Going back to your career, and you've mentioned Elizabeth, what do you think was really the breakthrough movie of your career? Was it Elizabeth, or do you think it was? Yeah, it depends, because there's many, many breakthroughs. There's the obvious external breakthrough of being a door being opened into greater opportunity of projects. And certainly that was Elizabeth. I made a film in Australia with Bruce Beresford called Paradise Road, which then meant that I could have a bigger platform within Australia, a platform of opportunity. But certainly Elizabeth opened that door. But then the door was open for me to do many, many more period costume dramas. With ostensibly the similar type of character with a different name. Often when you get a female at the centre of a narrative, the story is the same. They just change the costumes and the names. And so I then chose a series of roles which I thought would challenge me. One, I died on page 9, and I was offered the lead role, but I went, no, I actually wanted that little role because I feel I can experiment with that. So I think looking back on it, not be dictated to by any other person's career path. I was just really strong-headed and sure about sort of taking my time to make the choices that I wanted to make, irrespective of where I might end up. So that was choice not only to go
with dramas, but also with comedies. I mean, you have been playing action roles, now you have been playing in a Marvel movie, so it's a very diverse typology of roles. So that's something you want to do, you want that diversity in your career. I'm
always gripped by the surprise ask. You know, if I don't know how to do something. I think if you pick up a script and you know how you could do it immediately, I think the outcome is going to be quite dull. I think you always constantly need to have that sense of imminent failure with a project. And everyone talks about success, but success always contains within it possible failure. You know, there's always has to be a risk. But there must be roles you're more attracted to, or isn't this the case? No, not really. It's a conversation. In the end, I've realised it's your dialogue with the director. And obviously with the other actors, but it's who's looking down the lens at you that is, you know, going to alter whether there's atmosphere or not. Whether you're in sync with one another. Like you do develop a rapport with every crew member, but most importantly with the director. So it's the director who is the key element of your choice? I think so. I mean, that's usually the starting point because, you know, from hard experience, I know that the script is a malleable beast. No matter who, even if Eric Roth has written it, you know, that there's that things are discarded in the post-process and not always what you filmed is. So you've got to know that the post-process is something that you hand over to someone else. But what you've done will be of interest to that person in the post-process. Otherwise, you're kind of just a bit considered camera fodder. We know that you like theatre. You have a production now on Broadway. Yes, we start at the end of the year. Tell us about it. Well, it's based on Chekhov's Platonov, and Andrew Upton has done kind of a reimagining of it. And in a way, it's the culmination of the work that we've been doing with the Sydney Theatre Company. So it's an all-Australian cast, and directed by John Crowley, who is a wonderful film director. You know, he's Brooklyn most recently, but he's also a consummate theatre director and a great lover of actors. And I think you do need to be, you know, a lover of actors to direct Chekhov. What does attract you to be on stage in a theatre? Oh, gosh. Well, film is such a finite medium. You know, what you do on the day is captured. You know, people talk about reshoots, but really, I mean, when you work with Woody Allen, you're lucky to get a take, let alone another take. And there's no ADR, there's no post-production, there's no reshoots. So it's a finite experience, you know, and then 6 to 9 months, hopefully it gets a release and an audience sees it. But with theatre, you spend the time with people in the audience and it changes according to an audience reaction, and you get to go on the next night and alter and change and develop things. So where a play is in its first preview and where it ends up at the end of its run, the richness and depth that you all, you know, get to adhere and accrue to, you know, to the work is really, really exciting. It's dangerous, I think. At its best, theatre is dangerous. Do you think that Hollywood is innovative enough in our days? There are a lot of people doing really interesting things in Los Angeles. Not very many films actually get shot in Los Angeles, but there's a lot of really interesting television. And if you look at the number of women who are really making their mark in television, both behind the lens and the front of the lens, I mean, and it's one of the most progressive screen forms at the moment, I think. It has been a pleasure talking to you, Cate Blanchett. Thank you very much. Thank you.